Remember last year when I made a CitizenCon video called CitizenCon was meh? And you all bombed it with dislikes and you had this to say about me. Well, maybe after watching this video, you should go back to that video from last year and see how much I got wrong. Anyway, let's talk about this year's CitizenCon. Hello, my name is Grumpy. So this time I'm not gonna try to be like particularly funny or witty, and I'm just going to skim over a ton of stuff that was said because they either aren't that interesting or I could talk about them for an hour straight and nobody will want to watch that. I mean, do I really need to give you an opinion on like the first day and like half of it they were just talking about the tools that they're making so they can make their lives easier, so they can make more systems faster. Like it's year 13 of development. They're still making tools. In every CitCon, they're just continuing the progress on like making the tools. So when are they gonna have the tools so they can answer the simplest questions, like the when questions? On top of that, none of what they showed us was new or any different to what already exists in gaming. There are plenty of other games that have those systems in place already. Also, I don't know if you've ever been to Microtech, but Microtech doesn't look like this. Every time they showcase the tech for trees and shit, they showcase Microtech, and it never turns out looking the way it does in the demos. The foliage is just never this lush and good looking. Don't get me started on the procedural weather effects, because even though they look super cool, a small fucking breeze will still blow your fucking million-ton ship away. And these cloud physics, Jesus Christ, we saw that 6 years ago and it's still not a thing in the game. And the fact that we currently have commercial aircraft that can get struck by lightning and nothing fucking happens to them, yet in 900 years from now you get RNG'd to death by lightning, is just incredible to me. I mean, I get it if it's just a single planet and if there was a lore explanation to it, but this looked like Microtech, and Microtech is supposed to be Earth-like. And just don't get me started on the sound design section, because that's my forte, and like nothing new was said. Like most games nowadays have Doppler effect, even Battlefield 2, and I know this because I played a lot of Project Reality that came from Battlefield 2. It's a mod for the game, so like even Battlefield 2 had a Doppler effect. If you get me started on sound design, I might just say that this game either has the worst audio engine or the worst sound design in all of the fucking gaming, because most of the times you can't hear, like you can barely hear gunshots that are like 5 meters away from you. And then you get ships that sound like this. And of course, if you go to the bunkers, the NPCs' voices are gonna be louder than their gunshots. But I guess that's all gonna be fixed in the next patch, right?
It's maybe next patch.
Really lucky, dude.
Yeah, next patch, dude. Next patch.
Next patch they'll make Sue's
Game's a piece of shit.
But Grumpy, did you not see the Sandworm? Like the Sandworm, fucking, it's amazing, dude. It's amazing. Oh shit, my bad. This was CitizenCon from 2016, so that was 8 years ago. But it's a raid, Grumpy. It's a Sandworm raid. Like it's already working in the engine. But didn't they talk about the raids on the last year's CitizenCon? And it was like raids in the UGF bunkers or like the underground facilities, the new ones. What happened to those? It looks amazing. I'll give you that, and it looks fun and all, and it really reminds me of like raids and dungeons that I did in Destiny 2 and in Throne and Liberty. But curb your enthusiasm, because one of the lead devs went on Salty Mike's stream and he said this.
We've been working on it for like 3-4 months kind of thing. But getting that all together and getting it playable was literally like the last 3 weeks. We need to spend a lot of time balancing this.
So I don't think it's coming anytime soon. And also, the Sandworm will either be completely fucking brain dead or it's gonna one-shot you without even moving, because that's how AI works on these servers, and like that's the state of the game right now, guys. Like, I don't know in which fucking reality you're living in, but like, just curb your fucking enthusiasm is what I'm saying. But did you see Squadron 42, Grumpy? Like, it's almost there. It's almost there. Like, come on. Like, it's an amazing fucking demo. All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room and Squadron 42. But first, I have a pop quiz for you. Do you know when was the first time that Squadron 42 was supposed to go into the polishing phase? I'll just wait. You can just write a comment down in the comment section. You guessed it right. It was supposed to happen in 2019.
We've got a lot to look forward to in 2019 and couldn't be happier to have all of you guys along for the ride.
Yes, it really promises to be another great year. What do we have planned this year?
Well, there's a lot. I mean, we just had the Squadron roadmap,
Yep.
So that's sort of laying out what we'll be working on this year, where we're aiming to be feature and content complete by the end of the year. So it'll be a lot of work, but hopefully we'll hit it or be very close to it.
5 years later, in 2024, or actually 6, because this was like the January, as far as I remember, of 2019, we still don't have Squadron 42, and it's still in polishing phase, because if you're new to Star Citizen, and this is the first time you're watching my channel and all that, I'm not that grumpy, I'm just like being realistic here. They already said that Squadron 42 is in polishing phase last year, like during last year's CitizenCon, and it'll be out soon. And now they said that it's gonna be out in 2026. And I don't even trust that estimate. I would like say that it's gonna be out in like 2028. Like, I hope that it's gonna be out by 2026, but you never know with CAG. It might be delayed because of reasons. Like, do we really know how much they actually made? So let's talk about the gameplay though. I guess everyone will want me to make fun of CAG for Squadron 42 crashing on them a couple of times, but honestly I expected that to happen, because they seem to be incapable of making a stable game for 12 years now. What I did not expect was Chris blaming the PC for the crashes, because that's a really sad thing to do, because if you're developing a game, you make it so it works on all of the PCs, and as far as I know, that was a PC from their sponsors, so you bet that it's a beast of a computer. And also, how do you think the sponsors felt after they saw that Chris blamed their PC for the game crashing? Like, come on. But the crashes weren't even the main issue with the game. My main issues were that some of the cinematics were not even skippable, and the fact that the physics of ships when they explode are the same as they are in Star Citizen, so scuffed and jank, and the fact that we had an hour-long presentation where we had 15 minutes of cinematics and maybe 10 minutes of gameplay. It might be a bit more, it might be a bit less, you do the math. And by the way, I don't count you sitting in a turret and just clicking, like pointing and clicking at the slowest fucking AI ever as like gameplay, because that, like, if a game has that, that was always, for me, the lowest point of the game. And I was so sad and pissed off that they started on the lowest fucking point. But I guess that it can only get better if you start on a low point, right? But not really. The gameplay that we saw, even though it was cinematic as fuck, was so on the rails that it felt like it's just a complex quick-time event. And the bugs that have occurred in both the live demo and the demo that was posted on the official Star Citizen channel, because they're different, are just showing the state of the game and how far we are from actually getting it. That is, if the rest of the game is even finished, because I really don't know what to think anymore. Because if Squadron 42 was in the polishing phase for a year already, and this is the most polished that they could do for a single level that they knew that they will showcase at CitizenCon, then the rest of the game might not even be feature complete, or it'll take them at least 2 more years, or 3 or 5, to polish the rest of it. But I do hope that I'm wrong about this, and that they won't push the release date back to 2027 or 2028, but you never know, because they're known for doing that. But hey, whenever we get it, I hope that it'll be a good game, and not just a 40-hour compilation of beautiful cinematics with some simple gameplay loops placed in between them. But again, as a Star Citizen player, I know already that CAG is all about the eye candy, and they're not even like remotely about the gameplay. Until now, because this time they actually showcased a bunch of like gameplay loops and all of that. So let's talk about Star Citizen again and all the things that we saw during this CitizenCon. Base building looks amazing, and I loved every aspect of it. I can't wait to see it in the game, and I can't wait to make my own base and set my spawn in it. And I can't wait for my org mates to make their own bases right next to mine, so we can connect them all and share resources and have fun together. No, like, seriously, I can't wait for this to happen, because I'm 37 and I feel like I'm gonna be 50 when we reach 1.0. And I just want to play the game that they have promised for years and years. I just want to play it now, not later. I just want to play it fucking now. Please, CAG, just speed it up. Crafting also looks great, and along with the base building, it really gives us a reason to log in and play the game, because in the current state, there isn't a single reason to log in. And I'm glad that they haven't announced and made a ship that's specifically made for crafting, because that would be a bit too much, wouldn't it? But we already know that at some point they will just release a ship that's going to be made for crafting once we actually get crafting. And then maybe they're gonna give the modules to the Carrack and to the Caterpillar, so you can maybe craft in those ships. But yeah. So, to cut the story short, I loved everything that they said when it comes to crafting and base building. I love the fact that you will be able to craft spaceships and that you will be able to upgrade them, although they never said what upgrading actually means, or if it's going to be visually obvious that you are flying an upgraded ship. We also don't know which stats you're upgrading, if you're upgrading the armor or maybe the fire rate of your weapons, but I guess they will answer those questions when the time comes. But I have to say that I love the part where the resources had different stats, and it all just felt like a real game. Except it isn't, and the question is, when is the game gonna get better, and when are we actually gonna get to the point when the game actually looks like that and works like that? Like, I can't really wait for 5 or 10 more years for this to be an actual game, or to look like this, or to look like an actual game, because right now it's not. And with all that they have shown us, it seems that it's gonna be an actually decent game, right? But it's currently not. I'm gonna lose all my interest because I have other life shit to do in my life. I don't know who's gonna be interested in all of this in like 5 or 10 years from now, because it's not happening in like 12 to 18 months or 2 years. It's happening in like 5 to 10 years. So I don't get what was the point of the whole 1.0 presentation, but let's stay on the topic of 1.0. And as I've said, I don't really know why we're talking about it right now. The game is still in an alpha stage. It's still a bare bones tech demo, and every time we get something new in this game, we get a minimal viable product. So talking about 1.0 release without even getting close to the beta is basically just a marketing trick to make you think that we're closer to that point in time than we actually are. But hey, at least now we know what this game is supposed to be. 13 years in development, and now in 2024 we know what this game is supposed to be, and at least now we can know if it's a game that we would like to play or not. But again, everything is subject to change. And since I know that someone is going to tell me that I don't understand game development, just Google what I said and you'll see that I'm right. Beta is the polish phase. Beta is the feature complete state where the devs start smashing bugs. I don't know of a single game or a single program or an app that got released after it being in an alpha state. It has to go through the beta state. It has to go through QA. The only thing that comes to mind right now is The Day Before, and that game was a flop because it was an obvious scam.
Try to get off the bed.
The voice acting is not as bad as I thought it would be. The facial animations are not as bad as Starfield. What the fuck? Are you fucking serious? Wow. Wow, so this is the start of the game. Dude, I was hands off until this point and I fell through the fucking ground. Does it look familiar? But we are about to hit Alpha 4.0, and you can't really expect that in the next 12 to 18 months they'll finish 4 new star systems and give us all the game mechanics that they have promised in this CitizenCon. And I'm not even talking about farming or exploration or data running or hacking and other game loops that they have promised. I mean, do I really need to remind you that this company can't figure out the inventory system for 3 years now? And they reworked the flight mechanics for the 3rd time now, and nobody is happy with them. And do I need to tell you that with Maelstrom coming in, if it ever comes in, that the salvage is going to be different, and they will need to change the salvage to suit Maelstrom. Like, do I really need to explain things to you? So, like, 1.0 in 12 to 18 months is just not happening. So yes, I'm saying that Chris has lied to us again. But I must say that I liked that they're giving some love to orc play and the whole social aspect of this game. Although, since it's the first time that they're actually trying to do this, I'm pretty sure that it'll be bare bones when it gets released. What I would love to see is the in-game VoIP working like it does in Squad or Head Let Loose, where you would essentially have a squad leader only voice channel where you could talk directly to other squad leaders without having to hear what the members of their squads are saying. And it would be nice if you had a command voice channel where you could talk to other org leaders in the game, also without hearing their org mates, instead of having to be in a Discord call with everyone, because if you were ever a part of a bigger org, you would know that those Discord calls get hectic really fast. The only way there is for us to do it right now is to use external apps like Guilded or Discord, and even those apps have their limitations. And if Project Reality had this system 10 years ago with using Mumble as their VoIP app, I'm pretty sure the Star Citizen can do something like that too. But I've been scrolling through Spectrum and I've seen that a lot of people have raised some concerns. So let's address some of the concerns that the community has. The first and major concern is how the insurance will work. The addition of the warranty system and different tiers of insurance made it all super confusing. But if you check their website, you will find a page dedicated just to that bit where it says that if your insurance runs out, you will lose the ship, but you will be able to get it back by making money simply by playing with other players. And I'm glad that they have given up on that, because now they told us that they'll give us all a shuttle if we lose our ships. So that's the only thing that's different. And it seems like they took that idea straight from EVE Online. And honestly, it's not as bad as you think it is right now, because with the engineering and the resource management, the ships will be, well, almost indestructible. So it's just a question if you left it there or somebody stole it or it just got like completely destroyed and you didn't have enough fuel, so you had to replace it. So that's how you will be losing ships. But there is a huge problem with this whole system, and it seems like it's gonna be easily exploited. Let's say you crafted a C1 and you crafted all the components for it and you insure it to tier 3, and then you get it destroyed somehow. That means that you will get the money for the ship and the components back, but you will get the full price of the ship back plus the full price of the components. The money that is returned to you has to be the same as the full asking price in the stores, right? But crafting has to be profitable, so that means that to craft all of that, it should take you a lot less money than buying it from the store itself. Congratulations, you have successfully performed an insurance scam. Now, what I'm saying is that, like, this whole system is way too complex for no fucking reason. Why not just have the insurance and the warranty be the same and just, like, get the ship back when you lose it? Why make it so complex that when you have 100 ships, you just lose track of what has insurance and what doesn't? So, like, I hope that they're gonna give up on this whole idea. I understand that they want to make a new time sink and a goal sink, but don't we have enough of them with all the quantum travel, the cargo unloading and loading, and all the stuff that we need to buy and collect so we can perform a simple task? What I simply never understood is why they keep on making all the gameplay as simple, as unrealistic, and as unfun as they are right now. And yes, I'm talking about the beam gameplay because, yeah, everything in the game is done by beams, and then they make all the systems that will punish a player as realistic as possible. Now, do I like having to pay for insurance and for warranty in a video game? I do not really. But no way in hell will they let us lose our ships if we actually paid for them in the store with real money, because you can sue them for that. And that's never gonna happen, especially after they said that you can actually steal ships and claim them as your own. Another concern that I see is that you shouldn't be able to craft items and vehicles that are made by other manufacturers. And logic says that you shouldn't be able to do that, yeah, but the game logic does not agree with normal logic. You need to understand that it's still a fucking game, and that this is a step in the right direction. Sure, if we had all the time in our lives, we could just make the devs make the same amount of different vehicles and items that can only be crafted and built by players. But that would take them another 12 years, so maybe stick with the game logic. But then again, why does the game logic apply to this part of the game, but it doesn't apply to the insurance? Like, I don't get it. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about is the endgame. And I see that there are a lot of concerns about the whole thing. And I have some concerns too. First of all, I love the space stations, and the fact that that's an endgame goal for most orcs is just amazing. And I would love if the game wouldn't restrict you with a number of space stations you can own. If the restriction is 1 per orc per system, that's fine. So you have an orc hub in the system, but if it's just 1 per org, that could be very limiting in the long run. Also, I would love to know if there are going to be limitations on where you can place them, because I would love to have my station in the middle of nowhere where you would have to use the biggest and the best radar systems just to find the station itself. And then you can attack it, sure. But on the other hand, I'm not sure if I like that the shipyard can make a bangle. I get that it's the endgame goal and the reward needs to be huge, but having a bangle might be a bit too much. But then again, the bangle does not have an interior, and it took him 11 years to make the interior of the Idris, so it's not going to be a problem in the next 11 years at least. But all in all, I love how the space station crafting works, and I love that every single station and every single section of it has Jeffries tubes that are going to make raids and infiltrations much easier. And I love how they took some great mechanics from other games and integrated them into their own. As an example, this all reminds me of Space Engineers and EVE Online, where you will get a passive income from just building a space station or a base on a planet. Don't get me wrong, I think most of this, or all of the base building and space station building, is a step in the right direction, but I also think, and that's my main problem with this whole CitizenCon, I also think that this is not gonna happen anytime soon. I mean, if we actually get base building in the next year, like early next year, as they said, that's gonna refresh the game and that's gonna give you a reason to log in and to play the actual game, because now, like, you will have some systems that are in place that you can actually have fun with. But right now, playing right now, like, there's no point. You just make money and you buy spaceships, and that's it. Once you owned all the spaceships and once you tested them all out, why would you even play the game? Staying on the topic of Endgame, I saw on Spectrum that a lot of people are outraged because apparently there is no endgame for solo players. But this isn't true at all. Let me tell you a short story. I was playing DayZ a lot, and I mean a lot.
Cammy? Take a right into Cammy and go past the police station.
Sorry, I just dropped the guy from fucking 200 meters. And the whole point of that game, at least for me, was PvP, base building and raiding other people's bases. But in that game, there is no PvP sliders. If I see you first, I shoot you because I want your loot and I want your vehicle. But it goes both ways. If you see me first, you shoot me. Now, here's the thing. For base raiding, you need explosives. A literal shit ton of explosives. And I did not have a lot of them. I was either unlucky or I used them all up. But then I met a guy that was willing to trade me all of the explosives that he will find, and in return he wanted other stuff that I had. So I met up with him in a neutral location, and it was honestly one of the scariest things that I experienced in a game ever, because I thought it was gonna be an ambush, and I stashed the car and I walked there and like I was super jumpy and super scared, but in the end he turned out to be a sweetheart, and he wasn't even a PvPer. He was living alone in the middle of the forest and nobody found him yet. He didn't want to raid bases, he just wanted to PvE, and he liked that there were other players lurking around because he would hide every time when he saw other players. But long story short, he was a sweetheart and he started supplying my org and a friendly org with guns and explosives, even though he was never affiliated with us and he never went on raids with us. And in return, we were supplying him with other valuable resources that he needed. So to get to the point, the end game for a solo player could be whatever you want it to be. You can be Han Solo, smuggling illegal stuff through the blockades, or you can be a bounty hunter like Boba Fett, or you can be a crafter and an arms dealer, supplying both sides of the conflict. And I'm hoping the CAG will wake the fuck up and add new missions and mission givers to the game so that solo players that are not going to PvP or raid any bases could do that. And I'm hoping that they will also make a huge impact in the game economy, because you know that there are a lot of solo players in this game. But if you don't like that, I guess you actually wanted to play a single player game. And before I leave, I just want to end with this. They said that they're gonna add like custom decals and colors that you can use for your bases and your space stations and even your vehicles. So I have one question. Where the fuck are the hex codes?
Further forward, we want these kind of paint configurations to become hex codes. So if you're in like a guild of 20 players, and you know the clan leader said, all right, this is our paint scheme. There's going to be no like guessing work. Like you get the hex code, you put it in there, and it automatically will say, oh, you know what, you know, we've got matte black against yellow against pink, something crazy, and every ship in your fleet, you can put that hex code on and it will automatically go into that color configuration. So there's a lot of kind of cool things, and you know, as artists we do this stuff all day every day, and we were just like, you know, well, why wouldn't we give the end user this functionality?
So all in all, I would give this CitizenCon 7 out of 10 grumplings, because it's better than the last one. Last one was like 6 out of 10, I think, because now we know what the game is supposed to be, but also now we know that we are 12 years older since the Kickstarter, or like the game is in development for 13 years, as I've said like a couple of times now, and we know what the game is going to be, but the issue is when is going to be that, because we want to play it right now, right? And I want to play it right now, but it's not going to be anytime soon. So I'm 37 and I don't want to be 50 and playing this game. That's what I'm saying. That's why the whole CitizenCon was meh, because they just basically said the same thing that they've been saying for fucking years now, and they've shown us all the things that we already saw in ICs and CitizenCons and all of that. And like, when, guys? Yeah, I know that when questions are forbidden, but like, Chris is gonna die. Like, Luke Skywalker is gonna die, like Mark Hamill, whatever. But like, when is that? Like, when is the game gonna happen? Like, when I made this channel, I made a video, like, I don't know, I think it was my 5th video or whatever, where I compared Star Citizen and CAG's claims that in 2 years everything is going to happen and everything is going to be much better. I compared that to my country's president, because we are like on a downward slope when it comes to our economy, and like it's super rough in Serbia right now, and it's been like that for fucking 12 years now, or since 2012, since they got in power. And every year this guy tells us that it's going to be better in 2 years. Meanwhile, it's not even a democracy, it's like autocracy, and you can't, nobody can win, people are getting eliminated, etc., etc. It doesn't matter. But it just reminds me of what he says, like every time they say in 2 years from now, every time it just reminds me of that. And I feel like they're using Squadron 42 as a meat shield, as I've said like plenty of times before, and it's just insulting our intelligence. So anyway, thank you for watching, and thank you to all the patrons that are still supporting me, even though I'm not really dropping that many videos. I think I dropped like total of 5 videos this year, like since last CitizenCon. It might be more, like Star Citizen videos, that's what I'm talking about. I did cut 1 into 5 videos, but it's still a single, I counted as a single video. But anyway, thank you for watching, and peace out, and don't forget to bring a towel when you're traveling through space. And if you want to support me, the Patreon is right there, and join button and all of that. You know how it works, so I'm not gonna pressure you or whatever. But yeah, and oh yeah, also the spaceships, the Freelancer Max Mark II looks amazing, and that's why they nerfed the Corsair. But anyway, peace out, bye.